.40 Smith & Wesson has been very popular with law enforcement and civilians for self-defense. It kind of bridged that gap between 9mm and .45, which was a huge debate for many years, where you're still getting a decent round capacity with some definite superior ballistics. One of the big problems with .40 Smith & Wesson with a lot of shooters is the recoil or the recoil pulse. It just shoots a little differently, but it's still a very effective round, and a lot of guys love .40 caliber. Recently, the FBI looked at switching to the 9mm, and they are currently going from .40 caliber to 9mm. There's been a trickle-down effect with a lot of law enforcement agencies now following suit and going with 9mm as well. So we're seeing a lot of .40 caliber police trade-ins. We're just seeing .40 caliber starting to somewhat decline with a lot of popularity. Now, you may already have a .40 Smith & Wesson Glock, or you may be looking at a lot of these police trade-ins. I've seen them as low as $339, which is a great buy for a Glock pistol. But yet you're still on the fence of whether you want to jump into the .40 caliber world because of the decline of popularity. Doesn't mean that the round's not still very effective as a self-defense round, but definitely maybe for resale value, maybe you just have decided for yourself you want to go to 9mm. And so today we're going to take a look at installing a conversion barrel in your Glock pistol to go from what this is a Model 23 Glock, which is in .40 caliber, down to a 9mm. It's a very easy installation by just replacing your barrel and adding a 9mm magazine. Gives you two calibers, and we're going to take a look at the advantages of 9mm over .40, and yet .40 caliber is still a viable self-defense round. So it's the best of both worlds. And one of the great things about the Wheaton Arms conversion is that these have been very reliable. The Glock 19 is the most popular selling Glock made. 9mm, it's what they call the compact. Even though it's a fairly decent sized pistol, it's more compact than their Model 17. This holds 15 in one. The Model 17 holds 17 in one. Then we have the Model 26, which is the subcompact, and it carries 10 in one. So this kind of bridges the gap between a larger pistol and a smaller subcompact pistol. And to be honest, guys, if I could only have one pistol, it would probably be the Glock 19, because it is concealable and yet it shoots like a full-size pistol. But today we want to take a look at taking your Glock in .40 caliber. .40 caliber has been a very popular round with law enforcement for a number of years, and civilians. It kind of bridges the gap between 9mm and .45, which has been a huge debate over the years. And Smith & Wesson .40 caliber has been definitely a great round. I like .40 caliber, but to be honest with you, I've always been a bigger fan of the 9mm, or honestly the .45. I like the recoil pulse of those over the .40 caliber, and yet I still have .40 calibers. Taking a barrel that's a 9mm barrel and yet will fit in your Glock 23. And so this is from Wheaton Arms, and I've done some tests, and we've done a full review actually on the Wheaton Arms barrel. But what we're going to do right now is I'm going to show you how easy it is to change this, and some of the reasons why you can't take a standard 9mm barrel and put it in your Glock 23. Now obviously this is not your standard Glock pistol. This is one of the row-bar finishes on the slide and all the internal parts. I did a full review on it, but someone had Duracoated it or some kind of coating on it, and it had chipped off, and it was really ugly. And so I sent this in to row-bar, and they did an incredible job with this finish. But I just wanted to kind of preface that. I have a review, and I'll have it annotated right here. Row-bar does a great job. So of course, first thing we do is make sure the gun is unloaded. And it is. We're going to bring it back, pull the tabs down, pull the trigger, and remove the slide. Take out your recoil spring and your barrel. Now really all we're going to need, of course, is the barrel. We're going to take our standard barrel and we're going to set it aside. Take your conversion barrel, slide it in, take your recoil spring and guide rod, and place it in. And that's all you need to do for the conversion. Of course, returning the slide. And now we have a 9mm Glock pistol. It is still the Model 23, but it has a 9mm barrel in it. One of the things also you're going to need are 9mm magazines. This is a .40 caliber magazine, and you'll need a 9mm magazine to go with it. And thank goodness we have one right here. And now we have a fully functioning 9mm pistol. Now we have the 9mm barrel, we have the 40 Smith & Wesson barrel, and then we have the 9mm barrel for the Model 23. You will notice that the 40 is, the walls of the barrel are much thinner on the Model 43. Whereas the dimensions of the barrel on the 9mm are smaller than the 23 conversion. So when you put in a standard 9mm barrel in a Glock 23, there's going to be some distance here, and it's not going to be accurate. Here's the Model 19 barrel in your Glock 23, and there is a lot of play inside here. It's just a smaller diameter than the hole in the slide, and this is really going to affect your accuracy. And it's not going to lock up like your 23 barrel, and definitely not your 23 conversion barrel. Here we have the conversion barrel in the 23, and there it locks up solid. There's no play within the barrel to slide. And again, this is going to make it much more accurate. This may help also be more of a visual. I'm going to take the 40 caliber barrel and try to put it in my Glock 19. And it just doesn't, it won't fit. It's just too large to fit. The Glock barrel has polygonal grooves in it. One of the problems with that is that the grooves can capture lead if you shoot lead bullets or reloads or just copper washed bullets. Deposits can build up in the barrel and damage the barrel, and Glock recommends never to use lead bullets or reloads in your Glock barrel. That's one of the great things about the conversion barrel from Wheaton Arms is that it's got the standard lands and grooves. So you can shoot jacketed, you can shoot copper washed, and you can shoot lead reloads. You have a lot more variation of rounds that you can use with this conversion barrel than you can with a standard Glock barrel. One thing also is there's an 11-degree crown that's cut in this barrel, whereas the standard Glock barrel doesn't have that. What that does is protects this little edge right here. If you get a nick, if you drop this, or something happens where this gets nicked, this can affect accuracy very much. So having this where the lands and grooves start right here before it comes out the end of the barrel, this is going to help protect your barrel, and it will give better accuracy. We have the Glock barrel on top, we have the Wheaton Arms conversion barrel here. If you'll notice right here this straight line, with the conversion barrel it comes down and it comes back at an angle. Then you'll notice the shelf is squared off more here, whereas here it's thinner. It's wider, and this will give you a little more entrance for your 9mm, whereas your 40 caliber goes here. But this just gives you a little more support with your barrel. Also in the conversion barrel, the chamber has been reamed to accept just your reloads, a little bit longer reloads. A lot of times when guys are doing those, the case trimming is a little different, and this gives you a little more accommodation inside the chamber. Now let's talk about the calibers themselves, with 40 caliber here on the left and then the 9mm on the right. First off is ammo cost, and I found these numbers on AmmoSeek just to get a good idea of actual pricing. The 9mm starts out at about 16 cents per round, and some of that is steel cased, but even some of the lower quality 9mm. It goes all the way up to about 20 cents per round. And that's just basic target loads. You can go on up from there, especially with self-defense loads, which can be about $1 a piece. Here we have the Smith & Wesson. It starts out at 20 cents per round and goes up to about 27, 28 cents per round for your standard target ammunition. And again, this can go up to $1 plus a round each. So price-wise, your 9mm is considerably less. Second, and definitely one major thing, is your felt recoil. The 40 caliber, no doubt, is a lot more snappy. It's a larger bullet than the 9mm. So recoil is lighter, and what that does is allows you to get second and third shots easier, plus not anticipating it being so snappy with 9mm. Now with some of the self-defense rounds, especially with heavier bullets, you can get plus P or plus P plus, and that would increase the recoil, but it still doesn't match the 40 caliber in most of your self-defense rounds. And because of that, there's a lot less wear with the 9mm than the 40 caliber. The original inspiration of the 40 caliber was a cut down 10mm to make less recoil, and that was because of FBI ballistic testing, and the .40 caliber is actually designed with the FBI firearms in mind. And because it is practically the same size and length, you can fit .40 caliber in a 9mm frame. And that's one of the reasons why these are found in the same exact sizes of both pistols, and one of the reasons why we can have a conversion barrel for your .40 caliber Smith & Wesson pistol. But also round capacity. With a Glock Model 17 full size, this will hold 17 rounds of 9mm. With the Model 22, which is an exact comparison to the 17, it'll only hold 15 rounds. And from there down. And like with the Glock 23, 13 rounds versus 15 rounds. So you're getting 2 extra rounds for your pistol. Also, the .40 caliber is not quite as reliable as the 9mm. 9mm have been around since 1902. It's just proven the reliability of the 9mm. .40 caliber, there's more going on. There are more barrels that are damaged because of .40 caliber than of 9mm. Also, ammo choices. Your 9mm just has more ammo choices. It is the most popular caliber in the world. And we're going from 115 grain to about 147 grain. Whereas with the .40 caliber, we're looking at about 155 grain up to about 180 grain. So it's definitely a heavier bullet. And your foot-pounds typically are about 450 foot-pounds of pressure at the muzzle, 475 foot-pounds of pressure at the muzzle. One of the things I do want to mention about that is you do have a heavier bullet. And so let's just look though at some advantages of the .40 caliber. Yes, it is a couple of rounds short, but there is more power coming out of this round. Now there's a lot of argument about these 2 rounds as far as being fired, and honestly shot placement is the most important, especially if you're using self-defense 9mm. A shot placement with either one of these will do well, but your .40 caliber still has more power coming out regardless. I mean, it's just physics. So with that being said, a lot of people choose the .40 caliber because it does have extra power, and there's no doubt that that's the truth. One of the reasons why that FBI went with 9mm is not because the .40 wasn't effective, but because of a lot of their shooters needed something with a little less recoil, and the ammunition was cheaper, and there's less wear and tear on the firearm. So that just gives you some ideas. Is one really better than the other? Well, not necessarily, but there are some advantages with the 9mm over the .40, but yet there's some advantages of the .40 over the 9mm. And so that's why I'm not necessarily saying that you should go out and buy a 9mm if you have a .40. This video is about a conversion barrel to make your .40 caliber compatible with a very popular round. I don't thank Freedom Munitions for supplying the ammo, and really good stuff. This is their new manufactured ammunition. They do make remanufactured, and they do have their new Pro Match, which is jacketed hollow point. Great stuff. And you get a 5% Such discount when you check out Such 00. And with ammunition, it's always great to get a discount. Now here we're shooting the Model 23 in .40 caliber with the standard Glock .40 caliber barrel. Now we're going to the 9mm with the Glock 19. You can see the definite difference in recoil. And here's another angle, .40 caliber. It's very controllable, but when you compare it to the 9mm, you can see the difference. A lot less power coming out and very easy to control. When I say drop in, drop your magazine, check your chamber, pull the trigger, pull back, pull down your takedown tabs, release the barrel. Guide rod, barrel comes right out. Just like you're cleaning, add your Wheaton Arms conversion 9mm barrel. And we're ready to go. 9mm magazine. Now with the Wheaton Arms conversion barrel, you can see the lack of muzzle flip. I mean, it just shoots flat. We had 0 malfunctions with this conversion. This is the first time I've shot it. Just took it right out to the range, and immediately it just started firing with no problems whatsoever. And just very easy, very controllable. Still gives you your .40 caliber barrel. that you can insert and shoot your 40 caliber ammunition if that's what you're comfortable with. But then if you want to go to the range and shoot 9mm, you've got it right in your hands. Point of impact was the same with either barrel. I should have stopped after those first few rounds. I had a couple of flyers. It was definitely my fault. Then with the 40, a little bit more spread out, but of course the 40 has a little more recoil. But honestly, it shouldn't have really mattered. It was very controllable. But definitely the 9mm is much easier to shoot. And we were using Freedom Munitions for both. We were using 124 grain Pro Match, and then we were using 180 grain on the 40 caliber, and shootsteel.com. Now, as far as pros and cons, of course, we've talked about the pros. The cons, of course, you know you have to spend extra money for a barrel, but you do get a different caliber, and you also have to add extra magazines, 9mm magazines. And you know, that's just part of the price of changing out your conversion. I don't really see that a con. I see that as an investment. Plus your ammunition is cheaper for your 9mm, so it's going to help. It could change the point of aim, but honestly, we've not found that, and we have found increased accuracy. But what's great is you still have your Glock barrel, your original Glock barrel, and if for any reason you have a problem, of course, Wheaton Arms will stand behind their barrels, and also you still have your standard barrel that'll fit into your Glock pistol. But really, as far as the cons go, this is an advancement and improvement over the original system. And even though, you know, Glock always likes to say Glock perfection, nothing's perfect, and it can always be upgraded. Now, the Wheaton Arms barrels are 416R stainless steel. It does come in just the plain stainless finish, and they also offer a number of nitrocarbide titanium finishes. The copper, they do a sniper gray, and they also do a gold. And then they do non-threaded and threaded. And so, you know, you can go to the Wheaton Arms website and check it all out. Of course, they do standard calibers, not just conversion barrels. They do the 9mm, which I have in the Glock 19, and I also have one of the copper barrels in my Glock 17. This is one of the original barrels. We put quite a few rounds through it, and they have changed some things about these original barrels and improved, of course, with the logo and the caliber right on the top, which is something different that they've done and started to do. The original barrel was $169.95, and then you get a $20 suits discount. Well, with the new barrels, because this was an introductory offer, they're $189.95, and you still get a $20 suits discount. So you can get these for $169.99 and on the Wheaton Arms website. And I've been dealing with Robbie Wheaton for years. He and I are good shooting buddies. He does a lot of work for me as far as on different projects, and I really trust him with what he does. And these barrels have just been great, and I know that there's been a lot of feedback from a lot of guys that have bought these, and it's just been tremendous. In fact, I was in there this afternoon, and he had a box slam full getting ready to ship out. I mean, a huge box of barrels, and that's a regular occurrence there at Wheaton Arms. So I think that this is a great offering, something that can increase, not only change your caliber, but help with accuracy with the crown barrel and the chamber that's been reamed and fully supported chamber, which is going to help keep any kind of issues down. Plus, with the polygonal rifling, doing away with that and going back to the lands and grooves, you're going to be able to shoot a multitude of different type bullets in this barrel that you really can't in the standard Glock barrel. So there's a lot of reasons to change to a standard barrel, but then you get a lot of the quality with the conversion. Now, obviously, there are a lot of different companies that make 9mm conversion barrels for your 40 caliber, and you know, you can check those out, a lot of different sources. I found that Wheaton Arms has some of the best prices on the market for really high quality barrels. And of course, Robbie's a good friend of mine, and we've been doing shooting with these barrels quite a bit. So I have a lot of confidence behind this barrel system. A lot of great features, so check out these barrels at WheatonArms.com. And again, $189 for the standard barrel, and then you get a $20 suits discount, at checkout. So great way to do it. and just let the guys at Wheaton know that I sent you. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Standard 9mm barrel. Here is, now here are the 3 barrels. Now here we have the standard 9mm barrel in a 23 slide. Now here we have the Glock 19 barrel in the, now here's the 9, and because we have standard lines, because the Glock barrel is a polygonal, and because the Glock barrel is polygonal, and these grooves are cut, which really help for barrel life and make it more accurate. No, I'm not being paid to do this review.